Find me down in the meadow, under trees born hollow. Water glows in shallows with the light we borrow. Clouds cast down their shadow
Hey everybody, this is Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion, and should be having me and Mr. Solex on here. So let's take a look, see what we got. Oh, looks like the music's still going. Hold on. All right. Hey, oh, you know what? I left these fans on. Let me turn them off. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, hold on. Hey everybody.
Hello, back at you.
All right. Okay, let's just get let's get the cameras on here. All right, everybody. This is Carl. Good hearing from everybody here. All right. All right, let's get the cameras. For some reason the cameras didn't cross over. Let's get them on. Let's see here. We got.
It's so dark in here.
Yeah, I know, because the cameras didn't click over. Hold on. Let me get them over here. VMix double box. Well, they should be there. Well, let's just do it this way. No, let's get it the right way. Two people. Okay. There we go. Okay, can you see us now?
Whoop, whoop, there he is.
All right. Okay. All right. So, hey, Skywatcher. Hey, how you doing there? All right. Well, we got Mr. Disabled Vet joining us here tonight, and happy to have him on board. And we're covering the Democratic debate tonight, if you want to call it that. It was pretty lame. It was tough to sit through. I sat through it for 3 hours. I have some clips here.
Thank you, sir, for your sacrifice.
Yeah, really, I swear, it definitely was a sacrifice. That was totally a hard thing to do. So yeah, but somebody had to do it. But I was hoping to be a little more fireworks. Like the CNN debate, that was pretty good. But they were pretty much trying to keep each other in check. I think the only thing that got kind of goofy was Castro, and there was actually a part I went back and listened to it a couple of times where Castro actually sounded like he called Mayor Pete kiddo, and I played it back and forth a couple times, turned the volume up just to make sure I was actually hearing it right, and it sounded like he did. And I'll play that clip in a few minutes. But let's tell you what, we'll go ahead and play this one clip right now, and let's get this one up here. Where is it? Okay, play number 2. This is where Castro kind of goes at it here. So let's see segment 1, segment 2, number 43. All right, let's get this one up. So 43. Let's do a cut on it right here. All right, this is where you have Castro kind of going after Biden a little bit. So let's go to play that.
And, I also want to recognize the work that Bernie has done on this. And, of course, we owe a debt of gratitude to President Barack Obama. Of course, I also work for President Obama, Vice President Biden. And I know that the problem with your plan is that it leaves 10 million people uncovered. Now, on the last debate stage in Detroit, you said that wasn't true. When Senator Harris brought that up, there was a fact check of that, and they said that was true. I grew up with a grandmother who had type 2 diabetes, and I watched her condition get worse and worse. But that whole time she had Medicare. I want every single American family to have a strong Medicare plan available. If they choose to hold on to strong, solid private health insurance, I believe they should be able to do that. But the difference between what I support and what you support, Vice President Biden, is that you require them to opt in. And I would not require them to opt in. They would automatically be enrolled. They wouldn't have to buy in. That's a big difference, because Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
Have to buy in. If she qualifies for Medicaid,
are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Are you
forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago? I mean, I can't believe that you said 2 minutes ago that they had to buy in, and now you're saying they don't have to buy. You're forgetting that.
I said anyone like your grandmother who has no money.
We need a healthcare system
you're automatically
enrolls people regardless of whether they choose to opt in or not. If you lose your job.
And here you see you see Castro playing the age card on Biden. I swear he had me feeling sorry for Joe Biden there for a second. You know, I mean, it was just it was something else. You know, I'm like, Jesus, man, what's up? But anyway, we'll continue on here.
Yeah.
For instance, his health care plan would not automatically enroll you. You would have to opt in. My health care plan would. That's a big difference. I'm fulfilling the legacy of Barack Obama, and you're not.
I'll be surprised to him.
Andrew Yang.
This is why presidential debates are becoming unwatchable. This reminds everybody of what they cannot stand about Washington. Scoring points against each other, poking at each other, and telling each other that you're my plan, your plan. Look, we all
that's called the Democratic primary election. That's called an election. That's an election. You know, this is what we're here for. It's an election.
Yeah, but a house divided cannot stand. And that is not how we're going to win.
Look, everyone, we know we're on the same team here. We know we're on the same team.
So you saw that. So what do you think about that one, Disabled?
Well, I heard what you were hearing, and he says, it did sound an awful lot like kiddo, but it was, but I don't know. Listening to a presidential debate well, frankly, on either side is a little bit like practicing bleeding. It sucks, but you just have to deal with it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. No.
The one question though.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. The one question.
My question is, he says Castro says you will not have to opt in, but you will be automatically in. But right before that, he said that if you want to keep your private insurance, then that's your option. So are you going to be paying for your private insurance and then be automatically enrolled in the government insurance at the same time, which would be an incredible waste of resources?
Right. Yeah, because like he's saying, like if you lose your job, then you're automatically enrolled, but you don't necessarily want to get automatically enrolled because you may want to sit it out, try to get it also benefits because then once you get enrolled, are you stuck in there? I mean, there's a lot of questions to this stupid Medicare for all that nobody has the answers for, and the unions are totally against it. That's why all the unions are endorsing Biden because I'm not sure if you were ever in a union, Disabled. Were you ever in a union? You ever have union health care coverage or anything like that?
I was never in a union, no.
Well, I was in a carpenters union. We had great coverage. I mean, it was just fantastic. And when I was in I was town attorney for Pahrump, we had to negotiate for I was representing management of the town, and we were negotiating with the firefighters union here in Pahrump, Nye County. And one thing about getting health insurance, it's kind of a trade-off. Like you'll say, the employer says, okay, I'll pay you $30 an hour, right? Journeyman carpenter, right? And they say, yeah, but we want health care. Right. And they say, okay, tell you what, we'll pay you $20 an hour, $28 an hour, but we'll give you full health care coverage. So there's always been a trade-off. In other words, the employees, the union members are always willing to trade off a little bit of their wages in order to get a health care package for them and their family. And then so now so Biden, was saying later in this is that when he was debating with Sanders, and I might have that clip, in fact, where it was saying, like, hey, look, a lot of these union guys, they negotiated for this, and, if they are forced to go on a public option, they lost the benefit of, like, giving up the $2 an hour. And Sanders' response was always like, well, that's okay, the corporations will give them that money back. Well, and Biden's like, really? For a socialist, he goes, for a socialist, you have a lot of faith and trust in corporations. But it won't even have to be because
they'll never see that money again.
Oh, no, that's gone. And it
that was already negotiated, and that's done.
Yeah, and it won't have to even be sinister, because what will happen is, obviously everybody's talking about raising taxes on corporations, all these Democrats up there. So, they'll go back to the negotiating table when everybody's forced to get Medicare for all, and the union will come back to the employer and say, hey, you're not giving us health insurance. We want that $2 an hour back. And the corporations will say, here, you know what? You can look at our books. Here's our books. Here's what we're paying an increase in taxes to pay for you guys to have this Medicare for all. So there's your $2 an hour. Okay, we can't help you. And it'll be legit. It'll be real. It'll be like, no, look, here, look. This is, these guys that gave you Medicare for all also raised our taxes, and we can't afford to give you that extra $2 back. That $2 is gone. It's gone forever.
Nope.
So.
It's amazing how they find money to throw around when there's no money in existence. I mean, there's literally no money in existence. The paper notes that are being thrown around are valueless. So this will catch up at some point. And unless we get back on a gold standard and have something to back our currency, the only thing that keeps this money, or whatever they call it, afloat is the petrodollar, literally. Once the faith is completely gone, even in the petrol, we are screwed.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. And I tell you what, let me go and play the clip from. Let's see here. The clip. This is when they were actually talking about the dollars and cents regarding health care. Let's take a look at that. Let's see here. Should be segment 1 here. Here we go.
What I think we should have a debate on health care. I know that the senator says she's for Bernie. Well, I'm for Barack. I think the Obamacare worked. I think the way in which we add to it, replace everything that's been cut, add a public option, guarantee that everyone will be able to have affordable insurance, number one. Number two, I think we should be in a position of taking a look at what costs are. My plan for health care costs a lot of money. It costs $740 billion. It doesn't cost $30 trillion. $3.4 trillion a year, it turns out, is twice what the entire federal budget is. That's before it exists now, without interest on the debt. How are we going to pay for it? I want to hear tonight how that's happened. So thus far, my distinguished friend, the senator on my left, has not indicated how she pays for it. And the senator has, in fact, come forward and said how he's going to pay for it, but it gets him about halfway there. There's a lot of other things that need to be done. I have a bold plan to deal with making sure we triple the money for at-risk schools that are Title I schools from 15 to $45 billion a year. But I go down the line, and each of the things we're talking about, I lay out how I can pay for it, how I can get it done, and why it's better.
Senator Warren, let me take that to you, particularly on what Senator Biden was saying there about health care. He's actually praised Bernie Sanders for being candid about his health care plan. That Senator says that Senator Sanders has been candid.
Yeah, one thing I caught right off the bat, I know Biden, he's in a lot of gaffes, but I don't think he's entirely stupid. And the first thing that I caught him say was, we want to guarantee assurance. Could have been a gaffe, but assurance doesn't really mean anything. He doesn't say insurance. You still there? I think I lost my audio. I think we both lost our audio. can't hear. You hear me, Michelle? Okay, because I can't hear the show at all now. Okay, I can't hear Carl. I can't hear you at all.
Hey.
I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear that now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, good.
Yes, and I'm sure you had a lot of great things to say.
No, actually, probably not. Boom, what the hell was that?
Oh, sorry, that's my 100-pound beast letting me know his food bowl is empty. Hey.
Jesus
quit.
Christ almighty, man. That dog, what's that, Cujo you got over there?
He is a half Turkish Congo, so he's a very big dog with big feet. And at least he's being polite. He just tapped on the bowl. Sometimes he'll take it and throw it across the room. It'll bounce off about 3 pieces of furniture and sound like the house is exploding.
Okay, see, you should be able to hear stuff now. See, I'm seeing it going up.
Yeah, I heard the segment, but I didn't hear anything from you afterwards when I mentioned the assurance. I didn't hear what your response was after that.
Okay,
if it was potentially a gap or just a misspeak.
No, it was the most brilliant thing I ever said, and too bad everybody missed it. Damn it.
Was it?
Oh, and I can't remember what I said either, but it was the most brilliant thing possible. It was like unbelievable. But yeah, the Democratic debate was just, I mean, between talking about how much money they're talking about, but it was, ABC did okay, but like they didn't press Warren, like, because they asked Warren, okay, Sanders says he has to raise taxes on the middle class. At least he's honest. One thing about Sanders, he'll just tell you straight up, yeah, I'm raising your taxes. That's, hey, bye. But she keeps avoiding it. They say, are you going to raise taxes on the middle class? And she keeps saying, oh, their costs are going to go down. And the guy pressed her, goes, okay, you keep saying costs are going to go down. Like, I understand that, but are their taxes going to go up? And again, she wouldn't answer it. But But finally, one of the other candidates said, "Hey, look, you're going to be. There is going to be a deductible. There is going to be a deductible. It's going to be called on your paycheck. You're going to have a new deductible on there. So basically, and they don't have to do much to change it because, like, right now on your paycheck, you get a Medicare deduction on your paycheck. You get FICA, Social Security, Medicare. Medicare is generally a small deduction. It's like $5-7 a paycheck. It's not big, right?" So, but right now, if they're going to pay for this disaster, it's going to be probably like, $100, $200 a paycheck, $100, $80, whatever it's going to be to pay for this mess. And so your costs may go down, but you're going to pay more in taxes. The money's got to come from somewhere. So, it's just amazing.
Right, but that just...
Go ahead.
It counters the argument that saying your costs are going to go down, but then your taxes are up. That's an irrelevant argument because your costs are not going to go down. They're just deferred. You're moving your cost from one place to another.
Right. Yeah, it's not helping any, So let's see. Oh, Dirtbag just showed up on the chat room. Good seeing him there.
What's happening there, Dirtbag?
Dirtbag. Say hey to him. Let's see. Looks like Solix is getting in some trouble with his two ladies taser the next door neighbor's dog, and the guy had a pit bull. Oh, gee, that sounds awful. No one being honest about taxes going up. Yeah, let me get this one up. All right, but yeah, let me go ahead and just shoot this comment up here real quick, and then Control V. Bum, 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 bum.
Philip Turner, good to see you too, brother. I see a bunch of familiar faces. I see some I haven't seen before, so it's good too. Common Sense with Elizabeth, good to see you. Bernie's the only one being on taxes going up. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he's the only one being honest about it. At least he's saying it, but but that doesn't help at the end of the day when he raises your taxes. Shit.
Right.
It's not going to help any of us there. So I'll tell you what, I got another clip I'm going to play here. So let me get that one. See, that was. Oh, here's Harris. Biden, Harris wants to take away your guns. She wants to do it by executive order. And so Biden says, hey, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. And she just laughs at him. She just thinks it's a big joke. And he says, no, really. You can't just do it. He says, look, everybody yells and screams about Trump doing executive orders, but you can't take away the Second Amendment right by an executive order. I mean, potentially it has to be a constitutional amendment or a minimum a statute, and then that statute would go up to the Supreme Court. I mean, if she signed an executive order, I guarantee you, there'd be a writ to the Supreme Court in 2 seconds, and it would be ruled unconstitutional in 2 seconds. Maybe if you pass legislation, the Supreme Court has come back in the past and said you can make reasonable, a federal government, state government can make reasonable gun control laws, but they can't. They can't just outright, take away your Second Amendment rights. But we'll take a look at this clip here. Let's see here.
Well, real quick, I was just going to say, before we go to the clip, do you suppose she thinks that if she makes the executive order, there's a period of time that takes place between the executive order and the Supreme Court by default? Everything takes a while. Do you think that she would... in that short period of time, try to make a power move to seize the weapons before the Supreme Court could make its decision?
I could see her doing that. Sure, that'd be scary as shit. That would be that would be dangerous. I'm not hyperbolic. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't like talk of insurrection. But if she moved on that before the Supreme Court reviewed it, I'll be honest with you, I can see the Supreme Court issuing a stay pretty quick. Sometimes you could go right past U.S. District Court, you go right past an appeals court, and you can go right to the Supreme Court to have them. You can ask them to hear something, like you file in the U.S. District Court at the same time. You have to file in the U.S. District Court the same minute. I mean, you have some kid over the U.S. District Courthouse in D.C. or wherever filing it, and then you have some guy running over the Supreme Court, and he files it. You say emergency writ, and obviously it's in the news, so they know it's coming. They're like, oh, gee, what's this? And you say, quick, stop this, because we need an emergency writ, because she's sending a bunch of cops and FBI agents over to people's houses. So and you say it's irreparable harm. You can't fix it later because you may never get those guns back. Once they're there, you can't get them back. So I can see the Supreme Court issuing like an emergency stay really quick, or even a U.S. District Court. Just get into the U.S. District Court judge hands. You could probably file in several U.S. District Court at the same time because they all claim they have nationwide power anyway. So you just file in all these U.S. District Courts, right? And you'll get your forum shop. You do what the liberals do. You forum shop, right? You file the same. You file the same brief. You file in several different U.S. District Courts at the same time, and where you have different states do it too. The state's attorney generals, they file in U.S. District Court, boom, 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 and you ask for a nationwide stay to it, kind of like they did with the travel ban, when they filed it up in New York City, and they got a U.S. District Court judge to stay it. That happened that happened like, I remember that it was a Saturday night. I was watching Judge Janine, and that's how it would. That night, bam, boom, it was like that quick. And that's how quick it can happen. And with something like this, the Supreme Court would be like, oh, shit, this is bad. This is like bad stuff's about to happen fast, and we got to move now. And I can see them moving. I can see even liberal justices saying, whoa, put on the brakes. You're trying to destroy the country, so don't do that. So yeah, I could see her trying to make a move like that. I don't think she has much of a chance. She was my odds-on favorite at the beginning of this, because I didn't realize how dumb she was. I didn't realize she was actually a dumb person. I thought she was pretty smart. I didn't know of her history of how she got to be DA and got to be Attorney General, and that fact she was sleeping with the most powerful man and most powerful politician in California, former Speaker of the House Willie Brown, former mayor of San Francisco. He's got lots of money, lots of political connections in California. I didn't know that she was sleeping with him, and he got her elected to DA. She was a young deputy DA in the office, and she ran against a very seasoned, experienced person. And but he put his whole political machine behind her, because he was behind her, if you will, or in front of her.
Yeah, well, she got up that political ladder, those runs on one knee at a time. So
exactly, right. And then she dumped him.
Get up a ladder,
and then she dumped him after she became AG. She dumped him after she became AG, or after she became U.S. Senator. And then he gave an interview to San Francisco Chronicle saying, yeah, we slept together and I got her first jobs. He got her a commissioner's position, a nice high-paying gig, right out of law school, to where she'd have to do a lot of work but got paid some nice money. And then from there, he got her a job in the DA's office. And then she was only in the DA's office for a couple of years, and then he had a run, and then he put all his friends and donors behind her. The political machine is, especially in San Francisco. God, that's his.
I've heard her in an interview where she said to the woman sitting directly across from her, when they said that, I forget exactly that was asked to her, but she says, well, as a woman, you have to be willing to use everything you have in order to get what you want. That was her answer to the question. I wish I could remember the question, because it was a question and it was sort of a hint around that you bang your way to the finish line, and but it wasn't that direct. But I can't remember how it was put to her, and she just said that.
Yeah, well, she lived it, But see, that's the problem, though. See, when you are given favoritism based on any reason, whether it's ethnicity or sex, and you get a job that you're not necessarily, you get a job that you didn't work for or learn the ropes on, if you will, and then next thing you know, you just keep going and going and going, and you never learn anything because you never think you have to, and then you sound stupid, and which she does. I was watching, like you, I was watching some of her interviews, and I'm like, she seems kind of like bubble-headed. Like, she doesn't see. I thought she was a serious, like she was a prosecutor, San Francisco County DA, and then AG. I figured, okay, this lady knows how to get shit done. She must have had a good track record, and people noticed her and they liked the work she was in California more so than the governor or anybody else. He was Speaker of the Assembly at the time, and then I think he retired from that and he ran for mayor. We gotta. What are we doing here? Why are we? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, there we are. We're back. We got a little bit of a whatchamacallit. We stopped doing something.
Your common sense is, but she asked if that was my dog breathing in the background.
I fed the fur. I came on. I knew. Is that your dog? Yeah.
She was asking if that was him breathing.
Well, you got it. Yeah, you got a blue Yeti.
Harassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it picks up the flea farts, and there's just nothing I can do about it. It's a damn good microphone.
A condenser microphone. They're really good, but see, like the house we live in, my wife and I, is an open concept house, so I started off with a Blue Yeti. It's known as a condenser. What I'm using right now is known as a dynamic mic. So the dynamic mic only picks up pretty much right in front of you, like a singer. Like a singer on stage, they don't want to pick up any other noise from like the drums or whatever. You got a guy with a mixer board bringing the drums in through different microphones. You just want to isolate it to him. So I don't get really any sound from behind, in front of me. A little bit from behind me because the mic is bouncing off a little bit, but yeah, the condenser mic. I started with a Blue Yeti, but I had to get rid of it for the same reason, right? I had noise. If she was watching TV in the other room, you'd hear the TV coming through the mic and my headsets and going on up to YouTube. So I had to get a dynamic mic, XLR microphone, get like an audio interface that plugs through like a USB port right into your computer, and start using dynamic microphones. And then all that background noise goes away, like the air conditioner, the dog, all that. Yeah, it's dynamic microphones.
Yeah, my whole house is. my whole house is 340 square feet. So I live in a tiny home, but so yeah, it can pick up everything in the house.
Right.
But unfortunately, the finances will not allow me to replace a potentially $300 mic at this point. So.
Oh, that cost 300, the Blue Yeti?
Maybe I'll get a windscreen. Well, it's because I got the one on the boom, and it's all one piece. It was like $270 for the setup. But I am going to get an audio switcher, a USB audio switcher that's what I'll be able to have my switchboard hooked up to it, tune my own.
Like do call-ins and stuff.
Yeah, that's the plan. A PA system. I used to actually do public shows, reptile shows and stuff, so I got a really kick-ass PA system with a switcher and a soundboard and all that. I just have to get it so I can hook it into the computer and inline through my mic, and then I can set it up like a real music studio.
Oh, okay. All right. That'd be cool. Yeah, what I do, I use an audio interface, and it took me a while to figure out how to get like if somebody calls in, they can actually talk to us. We can actually hear them. They can hear us, and then everybody on YouTube can hear all of us. It took me a while to figure that out because it was a combination of software and hardware capabilities. Because it's easy to wire them together where everybody can hear everybody, but you get a ground loop. You get a lot of echoing going on,
right.
Big ground loop coming through. So it's easy to tie them together. Yeah, any idiot can do that. But then it's like echoing. You got all this reverb and echoing going back and forth because the sound's coming through twice or three times even. So it took me a few minutes to figure that out.
Right.
Once I got it figured out, I was pretty happy. It's like yay! But yeah. So
I'm at the infant stage at this point.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I was there 10 months ago, and let me tell you, I didn't know anything about IT or music or audio or video. I didn't know anything about any of this shit. I just had to watch tutorials and get on chat rooms, and then I bought some stuff I didn't need to buy. Of course, that happens where you buy something that doesn't work. It's like it doesn't work the way you want it to. But yeah, I remember being there. It was very exciting, but very, very frustrating. I mean, 8 hours a day trying to figure something out and then not getting the answer. I was like, But yeah, once you get it all put together, it's nice. But yeah, figuring it out, that's kind of tough, especially when you don't come from that kind of a background. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So, but okay, let's play the next clip here. Let's see what next one we're going to show here. This is number 6. This will be Biden and let's see. Yeah, this is Biden and Harris about taking away your guns. So let's get that one up. All right, so that's number 19. Okay. Boom.
Nomination. They said, I'm going to issue an executive order. Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say I'm going to eliminate assault weapons, saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a constitution.
And yes, we can, because I'll tell you something. The way that I think about this is I've seen more autopsy photographs than I care to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, did you see that, Disable? I mean, she just kind of like laughs and then, of course, makes fun of him. Makes fun of him.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, makes fun of the Obama line from 2008. If it wasn't for Obama running and winning in 2008, she wouldn't be standing on that stage running for president in 2020. So she's making fun of Obama, making fun of the Constitution, is laughing off like, oh, ha, 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 that's funny. A Constitution, what's that? Well, you know what? She may never have read it. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, they swore an oath to it, but they don't know what that means.
Right. But I mean, literally, she may never have read it. I mean, again, she's not very bright. She's not very smart at all. So, none your
Her
business.
cackle laugh is annoying as hell too.
Oh yeah, that stupid silly girl. I mean, she's like 45 years old. She's laughing like she's 16. I mean, like she just like she's on the way to the prom or something, you know. Let's see.
I always ask the question, how stupid can these people get? And I just feel like every time I ask that, they take it as a challenge.
Yeah, right. It's like let me try harder. Hold on, see. Hold on. Let me type this up real quick here. She's 54. Oh, Brother Nubian said she's 54. 54, she's my age. Ah, wow. She's 54 and she sounds like a kid. I mean, she's been a lawyer for like 28 years, and she talks like.
You realize that that's a technique.
Well, the laughing, giggling stuff.
Well, the "I'm just a girl" kind of thing. It was the same tactic that was used in the Kavanaugh hearings.
Right, right.
Bringing the voice down to a child and softening and, you know, laughing because I'm just a girl. You know, it's a tactic, and people fall for that crap. Oh, she's so cute, but no.
Yeah, but that's not that may be good for getting empathy at a congressional hearing. But that's not going to get people. That's not even going to get women to vote for you. Women aren't going to vote for that.
Yeah.
You know, especially the women who do vote, women in her age and above, in 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. No, they're going to be like, she's some immature little kid. She's going to remind them of like their daughters. And it's like, well, I don't want my daughter running the country. Right. You know, so but I guess that's, you know, again. She never had to work for anything, so she had she had no respect for it, and so but just to sit there and scoff off the Constitution like it's no big deal, I don't know where she's going with that.
Yeah, it's like a social skills disorder. They're not prepared for social skills, I guess. I just don't know, but it is a tactic that's used by these women in power.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. All right, let's go and finish off with the clip. And get going here. Yeah, your brother Nubian. Yeah, she goes. She also cackled when she was in California. She also cackled at putting homeless black women in jail. Like that was also funny. Oh, ha ha ha. Yeah. Just real nice. All right, let me get this clip back up here. Let's see. There we go. Let me get this stupid mouse to find. Where's my mouse? There it is. There we go.
I have attended more police officer funerals than I care to tell you. I have hugged more mothers of homicide victims than I care to tell you. And the idea that we would wait for this Congress, which has just done nothing, to act is just, it is overlooking the fact that every day in America, our babies are going to school to have drills. Elementary, middle, and high school students, where they are learning about how they have to hide in a closet or crouch in a corner if there is a mass shooter roaming the hallways of their school. I was talking about this at one of my town halls, and this child, it was 8 years old probably, came up to me. It was like it was a secret between the two of us, and he tugged on my jacket and he said, I had to have one of those drills. It is traumatizing our children. El Paso and Beto, God love you for standing so courageously in the midst of that tragedy. You know, people asked me in El Paso, they said, you know, because I have a long-standing record on this issue, they said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition.
Senator Harris, thank you. Vice President Biden, do you still stand by what you said on an executive order?
The question...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to bring up, did you hear, first she went into the emotion. She dropped her voice. She went into the, you know, the raspy voice, because I got to hold back the tears. She did that. And then she went to the accent of the dialect of them other folk.
Oh no, she's
I don't
trying.
know if you guys caught it.
Oh yeah, no. She left the G off. No, she has a problem right now. She has a problem right now in South Carolina. She's polling below Biden with African American and specifically African American women, and because there's a big debate, as far as she's trying to claim she's like ADOS. She's trying to claim she's African descendant of slaves, but she's not. She's half Indian, and her father's from Jamaica. So it's a question of even is he only like 25%? There's a whole big debate on Black YouTube about that right now. So she's been trying to, be trying to get the black vote. So trying to talk black. The next thing she's going to do is pull out some hot sauce like Hillary Clinton did. I mean, that's the next thing she's going to do.
Yeah.
So
well,
she's
the
trying.
Other thing.
Go ahead.
Well, the other thing was oh, please God, you got to think of the children's. They always go to the children.
Right.
So the argument is never used. Facts are irrelevant as long as you can drip the emotion into the hearts of the listening people. Right. And, it's useless if you are awake, but the people that are asleep just suck that stuff up.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and again, I don't see where she gets with that. She's not going to get very far. She's definitely not going to go screaming up in the polls. She's not fooling anybody. I mean, she just isn't. So, I mean, I don't see her lasting past Iowa. I don't think, she may try to hold on for South Carolina, but if she keeps polling like she's polling in South Carolina, and she'd definitely be out after South Carolina. South Carolina, when she gets it handed to her, then that's it. Because if she does bad in South Carolina, she's not going to do good in the rest of the South. She's not going to do good in Mississippi and Alabama. Yeah. It's just not going to happen for her, And so if she might have enough money to hang on until South Carolina, but definitely she's gone after South Carolina. But anyway, here let's go and finish up with Mr. Biden, what he has to say here.
Yeah.
Speak to constitutional scholars. If, in fact, we could say, by the way, you can't own the following weapons, period. They cannot be sold anymore. Check with constitutional scholars. Now,
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Congressman O'Rourke, I want to come to you on this. I'm going to work down the row here, but I do want to come to Congressman O'Rourke because I know this is personal to you. El Paso is your hometown. Some on this stage have suggested a voluntary buyback for guns in this country. You've gone further. You said, quote, Americans who own AR-15s and AK-47.
Okay, yeah, this is Beto's big quote of the night, talking about taking away our guns. This is one of the headlines they put up before the video got started. So yeah, so here we go.
We'll have to sell them to the government, all of them. The critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am. If it's a weapon that was designed to kill people on a battlefield, if the high impact, high velocity round, when it hits your body, shreds everything inside of your body because it was designed to do that so that you would bleed to death on a battlefield and not be able to get up and kill one of our soldiers. When we see that being used against children, and in Odessa, I met the mother of a 15-year-old girl who was shot by an AR-15, and that mother watched her bleed to death over the course of an hour because so many other people were shot by that AR-15 in Odessa and Midland. There weren't enough ambulances to get to them in time. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Congressman, thank you.
And I want to say this.
It's like the guy, I mean, you see where he's going with that. I mean, okay, he says the round that's designed to, make you, well, a 30-06 round, trust me, if you had a choice between getting hit with a 223 round or a 30-06 round, say a 200-grain bullet from a 30-06, you'd probably take the 223 and hope for the best. But, I mean, so if that's his test.
I'll take two, please.
Yeah, I mean, if that's his test for determining which guns you can keep and which guns you can't, well, you're not going to be able to keep any guns. Or a shotgun.
Right.
Hey, you ever see what a shotgun does to somebody? I mean, that's pretty nasty,
Yeah, well, a lot of states don't allow you to use hollow points for defense. They'd rather you use target ammo if you're in your concealed carry weapon. Some people still use hollow points, but yeah, I mean, if you're using the weapon for defense, then I believe whatever it takes, because you're not going to pull that weapon unless your life is threatened. So when your life is threatened and you're defending that life, then all options should be on the table.
Yeah, no, the ammo I use is not a hollow point, but it's actually better than a hollow point. I figure Hornady makes it, and I was watching on YouTube back before they started banning those kind of videos and stuff. They're showing the test, with the not just with the gel. There's something I forget what it was they used that's even better than the gel, and they were showing the high speed cameras, and this ammo compared to a hollow point was much better. They have like two different. They come out with two different types. One that potentially used in like in an urban area, like somebody you have to shoot through a car window, versus not having to deal with somebody hiding behind a car or something like that. So yeah, I mean, you want something that's going to expand and have knockdown power. I mean, again, like you said, if you're an honest citizen and you're having to pull that weapon, which if you're in the wrong just by pulling it, it's a misdemeanor. And then actually pointing it at somebody, if you're in the wrong, that's assault deadly weapon. That's like 1 to 6 years in prison. And then if you shoot somebody, if you're wrong, that's battery deadly weapon. And then if you kill somebody, that's murder. If you're wrong. Now, if you're an honest citizen and you're on the right, when you shoot somebody, you don't want them getting back up. Like when they showed that Dayton shooting, when the cops like emptied out their magazines, there was like 3 of them there, shooting at him all at once. And that kid was getting, he was wearing body armor. That kid was getting back up a couple. If you watch it, I watched that video a couple times. It was real short, but you can see the kid was struggling to get back up, and those cops just kept going and going and going until he didn't move anymore. But yeah, you're gonna shoot somebody.
Yeah, well, that's another thing.
Go ahead.
They're talking about banning the body armor too, and there's 2 things about this. I noticed that Bertha Danambian, I think, she says, I agree with getting rid of the AR-15 and the other kind, and I think she's talking about the AK-47. But the problem is that these weapons are being misidentified by the officials that are talking about banning them. First off, they're not weapons of war. The M16 doesn't fire a .223 round. It's a 5.56. And it's the round that's fired from an M16 is a spiraling tumbler. It's designed to fly through the air fairly straight, but then as soon as it were to make contact with the human body, it's supposed to bounce around like a ping pong ball. So weapons of war are also designed for fully automatic and 3-round bursts so that you can lay down suppression fire. A military weapon, when they say firing in full automatic, the only time you do that is when somebody is trying to move. You're putting down what's called suppression fire. You are spraying rounds downrange to keep everybody's head down so that one of your assets can move into a better position without being shot on the way. And as soon as they get to that cover, then the automatic is turned off, and it's back to either a single shot or 3-round burst. So they are not weapons of war. They are defense weapons. They are small round chambered weapons, and you have to pull the trigger each and every time you want to fire a round. Whereas in the military weapons, you pull the trigger and hold it back, and it will fire until you let go of it. So it's misidentifying and using false information and scare tactics to get people to do things with emotion as opposed to education. Excuse me.
Gotcha. All right, this just Jesus Christ. Go down. Fuck it. Whatever. All right. Anyway, so let's go and show the next clip. Jesus Christ. Fuck this.
22 is very dangerous. No. 22s are likely to just piss off the person you're trying to back off. So, yeah, that's just not true.
All right, let's see. All right, let's get to the next clip here. All right, this is kind of not Harris. This is Biden kind of just stumbling and bumbling around. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, it's near the end of the debate, probably getting kind of a little worn out, getting a little tired, and just kind of all not being able to go the distance.
And ISIS seized, by some estimates, 40% of the territory in Iraq. You then had to send thousands of troops back in. Was it wrong to pull out of Iraq that quickly, and did the move actually help ISIS take hold?
No, it wasn't wrong to pull up. I want to answer the Afghanistan question. I've been in and out of Afghanistan, not with a gun, and I admire my friend for his service. But I've been out of Afghanistan, I think, more than anybody on this, and it's an open secret. You reported a long time ago, George, that I was opposed to the surge in Afghanistan. The whole purpose of going to Afghanistan was to not have a counterinsurgency, meaning that we're going to put that country together. It cannot be put together. Let me say it again. It will not be put together. It's 3 different countries. Pakistan owns the 3 counties, the 3 provinces, and the east. They're not any part of it. The Connies run it. I will go on and on, but here's the point. The point is that it's a counter-terrorism strategy. We can prevent the United States from being the victim of terror coming out of Afghanistan by providing for bases, insist the Pakistanis provide bases for us to airlift from and to move against what we know. We don't need those troops there. I would bring them home. And Joe Dunford's a fine guy, but this has been an internal argument we've had for 8 years. With regard to Iraq. The fact of the matter is that, I should have never voted to give Bush the authority to go in and do what he said he was going to do. The AUMF was designed, he said, to go in and get the Security Council to vote 15-0 to allow inspectors to go in to determine whether or not anything was being done with chemical weapons or nuclear weapons. And when that happened, he went ahead and went anyway without any of that proof. I said something that was not meant the way I said it. I said from that point on. What I was argued against in the beginning, once he started to put the troops in, was that, in fact, we were doing it the wrong way. There was no plan. We should not be engaged. We didn't have the people with us. We didn't have our alliance. We didn't have allies with us, etc. And it was later, when we came into office, the president turned to me and said, Joe, when they said we had a plan to get out, he turned to the whole security and said, Joe will organize this, get the troops home. My son spent a year in Iraq, and I understand. And we were right to get the combat troops out. The big mistake that was made, which we predicted, was that you would not have a circumstance where the Shia and the Kurds would work together to keep ISIS from moving in.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. I want to turn to Senator Sanders on this because the concern over Afghanistan is very similar to what.
Okay, what was the part in the middle? I can't hear you again.
Oh, there we go. Okay, how's that? Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was the point, though. He kind of got stuck. He kind of got lost in the middle of what he was saying. He was confused again. Again, this is near the end of the debate. I think it was probably around about 2 hours in, and so now he was kind of worn out, and he was just stumbling around. He was addressing all these different issues at once. He was going back to his vote on the Iraq War from 2002. I mean, that's something he shouldn't be trying to bring up. I mean, that's not a. He didn't have to. Nobody said, "Oh, you voted for it in 2002." I mean, we're way past that. I mean, that's that's 17 years ago. So, I mean, he was like reaching for stuff. Like he forgot what year he was running. Like he thought he was running like in 2008 or something, trying to explain his Iraq War position. Nobody's really had to explain their Iraq War position since 2008. Nobody's had to explain it, and he decided to start trying to.
The other thing you were saying was that we didn't have the allies with us yet. And I really beg to differ. We had Allied forces with us since the first strike. So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, NATO for the first time instituted that if one country gets attacked, we all join in. That was, I forgot what they call that, the actual technical term they call that, but it was the first time in the history of NATO they actually voted to have that happen, and that was after we got hit on 9/11. Yeah, we had Canadians, Australians, all kinds of other foreign forces inside of Afghanistan. You know, so yeah, I don't. I mean, we were doing most of the heavy lifting. Okay, you know, they were sending like 600 people, 400 people, you know, 1,000 people, whatever. But still, though, you're right that we had plenty of we had plenty of allies with us in Afghanistan. You know, so
yeah. Well, the problem was that they were paying these terrorists in the back door, and even Obama was caught saying that during one of his pressers, and he came right out and said that the funding for ISIS and training was going well. So you can't take out somebody if you're paying them to exist and helping to support them. So yeah, I mean, the reason there was an insurgence after we started to pull out was because the deep state was able to funnel that money more quietly and directly without having to worry about getting American soldiers in the way. So yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. No, and so I mean we went in there to stop them from. I mean, look, Osama bin Laden's whole plan on for 9/11 was that, you know, he hated us because the big reason why he really hated us, it doesn't go back that far. It goes back to like 1990 when Iraq invaded Kuwait and they were getting ready to invade Saudi Arabia, and bin Laden, who had just defeated the Russians in Afghanistan, like, you know, just what, 2 years earlier. Well, one of the guys that helped defeat him, he wasn't in charge of it. He offered his assistance, his mujahideen. He offered it to the royal family in Saudi Arabia. Said, "Look, I'll go there and I'll defend you and I'll defeat Saddam Hussein." And of course, we offered, you know, the royal family 400,000 men, the United States Air Force, United States Navy, and the royal family went with us instead. And he was pissed off that the infidels were on, you know, Saudi Arabia, you know, his birthplace. You know, his family were the second richest family in Saudi Arabia. This, you know, they did all the pipelines and refineries and all that stuff, road building, all the construction projects. So he was pissed off that we were there, and of course we had women soldiers there and the whole 10 yards. And so that was his big hatred. So his plan for 9/11 wasn't just to blow up our buildings. His plan was to do it, to piss us off so much that we would go and fight him on his home ground in Afghanistan. And then he thought he would do to us what he did to the Russians, forgetting, of course, for a second that the only reason why they did to the Russians what they did was because we gave them, you know, like you saw in the movie with Tom Hanks, we gave them all the anti-air equipment, the anti-tank equipment, the logistics, the training, the arms, the munitions, you know, $1 billion, which was a lot of money back in the 80s, just, you know, funded them. Plus we had the Pakistanians assisting us. We had Israel, Egypt, everybody, you know, helping the Mujahideen. So he forgot that we did all that for him, and he thought he was going to take us on. We'd get caught up just like the Russians did, like in the mountains and stuff. We wouldn't be able to resupply our guys and wouldn't be able to fight them, and we'd lose. And he'd have a big victory against, you know, the infidel. Well, it didn't work out that way, now did it? So, you know, we dispatched them relatively quickly, and he fled, obviously. And but then we've been trying to rebuild that country. But these are people over there that don't want to be rebuilt. And we made this deal with the devil that we left the poppy fields alone because that was like their main source of income, was exporting, you know, heroin, you know, to the rest of the world. So like you'll see pictures of troops walking through poppy fields. You know, nobody's burning them down or cutting them up or anything. They leave them there. But our U.S. troops walking through poppy fields. Every time I saw, you know, video of that, it just always amazed me. So 18 years later,
the clowns in America have been running. The clowns of America have been running drugs since 1961. So to assume that it's just Afghanistan that's enjoying the benefits of those poppy fields would be missing half the point, because there's the C_A has been doing it since 1961, and they sort of plateaued in 1969 and realized that they were basically at the maximum amount that they were going to be able to make in that industry. So they added an industry to it and started trafficking. And Osama bin Laden was actually a CIA asset before he became their enemy number one. And it's basically like anybody else. When you work for the CIA, depending on how deep you do your job, after they get done with you, there's a little thing called wet works, and he was the chosen one for that project. There's a lot of mystery and a lot of things that have happened in that time period that are going to be coming out, hopefully, but it's just going to take time to get that truth out.
Right. Let me put Crazy Chick Sheena up here. All right. Let me get little Crazy Chick Sheena's comment up on the screen here. So, there we go.
Pink Miss Kitty 22. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you like that, huh?
I hope, Crazy Chick Sheena, I hope that you do an awful lot of practice with it, because I've seen a couple of people in the chat now talking about 22s being extremely dangerous because you get hit and the bullet doesn't penetrate it or doesn't go clean through, it bounces around. That is a possibility, but I mean, I know it happens, but the problem is that 22s, they're great for target practice and stuff like that, but if you have to use that bullet in a kill or be killed scenario, you have to be extremely precise where you put it, because when you talk about somebody with adrenaline and potentially drugs, a round like a 22 is not going to do the job. It may give you some time to run away from the situation, but it's not a people stopper. So I mean, if you're very good with your shot and you shoot under pressure and you practice in that scenario, then yeah, it can help, but probably need a slightly larger caliber for a true self-defense weapon, and maybe move that one down to an ankle holster as an ultimate backup. Just a thought and a suggestion.
Yeah, you want to start with the 22. You want to get proficient with it, that's for sure. But then you want to move on to a larger caliber weapon. You know, even if you go, you know, they're hard to find and they're a little pricey too. But like I always thought, like a 32 revolver. You know, I always thought that was a great fit for a woman. It's not as much of a kick as like a 38, and but you know, more knockdown power than a 22, obviously. But they're hard to find. Yeah.
I've got a 32 with a magazine clip, so I've got that. But my wife and I have a 45, and it kicks like a mule. But my wife can shoot that one. So.
Oh, really?
You know,
that's nice.
It's a matter of training and practice. But
right.
Yeah, if she has to pull it, the person's going down, and they're going to stay down. But
right.
I think they're probably going to fall before she ever fires around, just because of the big ass gun coming out of her purse or whatever, and then they see that and think, you know, pass out before it goes off.
Right.
But yeah, I make sure that she's trained and capable of firing every caliber weapon that we have in the house.
Right. Well, that's important too. Yeah, if you're gonna have, you know, if you're gonna have the firearms in the house, you want to make sure that, you know, the other person living with you knows how to use them. You know, it's more dangerous to pull a gun out if you don't know how to use it than not pulling it out at all, because somebody's going to take it away from you. You know, even little basic things like, you know, flipping the safety off. I carry Glocks. It has no safety, nothing to flip. And it's kind of a combination. It's not a single action, but it's not a double action. It's kind of like a a single action and a half, if you will. You know, it has a nice pull to it. You know, and the nice thing about Glock, at least for me, it kind of when I bring it up, it's kind of flat. I don't have to try to raise it up a little bit or drop it down a little bit. When I raise it up full length, you know, arm length, it's flat. The barrel's flat. It's straight. So, you know, that's the only weapon I've been able to.
No iron sights?
No, I have iron sights for sure, but it's like I don't have to, like, for whatever reason, the way the grip is designed, because since there's no safety and there's no hammer, the grip comes right up to the slide. You know what I'm saying? So you're
okay.
Yeah. You get that's what gives you the extra control too for the second shot, because since you know your hand is higher up, it's not. Let's see. Let me get back on camera here. It's not going dunk 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 dunk. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause your hand's right up on, you know, the slide's like right here, versus like a SIG or another gun. You got the safety and the hammer. It drops your hand. Here's the slide, but it drops your hand grip a little bit further down. So it will want to do this on the second shot.
Yeah, you get that tip up of the front of the barrel when you fire. So
right.
Every time you fire around, you got to bring that tip back down a little, so to speak.
Right, and the Glock, since there's no hammer and there's no safety to make your hand a little bit lower down, you know, the magazine, you get a little more control. I can see why law enforcement jumped all over it when they first came out. Well, Glock. I mean, they went to Miami. They said, well, we're worried about humidity, right? So they said, oh, okay, we got this. So they found some water, like salt water, and they chained a Glock underwater and left it there for like 2 days. You know, it was under guard, whatever, and left it there for like 2 days. And then they pull it out. They just hosed it off. Didn't clean it. Just hosed it off. Took all the seaweed off it and shit. And then loaded up a magazine and then just fired a full mag right out of it. Boom, 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 boom. And they're like, okay. And then
That's impressive.
Yeah, and then San Bernardino, they dropped it out of a helicopter, like it fully loaded. Okay, chambered. Dropped it out of a helicopter like at 25 feet. It didn't go off. Yeah. So,
Very
you know.
good.
Yeah, I mean, so it's really, it's like I always compare a 6 hour, when I talk about a 6 hour and a Glock, I always say like 6 hours like your Mercedes-Benz, your Glock is like your Volvo, you know.
Yeah, D.A. Archer said if you're going from a 1911 to a Glock, you need to run your hand grip high until your memory changes. Yeah, it's muscle memory. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I've always been extremely natural. The first time I put my hands on a weapon, I took out the center of the target. It was an accident because I didn't even realize, I was too stupid. I didn't know there was a such thing as sights. So I was just aiming over the top of the barrel, and I shot the center of the weapon, the center of the target out. So it's been a very natural thing for me. My 45, when I got it the first time I shot it, I didn't even think about the kick, so I one-handed it. And I shot the center of the target out, but almost broke my wrist doing it. Then I realized it's a double-hander.
Yeah.
I still like it, though. I love that kick.
Well, Glock makes a 45, but it's a magazine, so my hands aren't real big, so I use a 40 cal, which is the same, you know, width as a 9mm. So even though it's double stack mag, I can hold it much easier than I could. Like they make a 10mm too. The same issue for me as far as the width of the handle. So the 40 is a nice, you know, it's got a little more knockdown than a 9. It's slower than a 9. So I prefer a slower bullet anyway if I'm like in an urban area anyway, or inside of a house. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna be out like in the desert. You know, well, now that I say that, watch, I'll be out in the damn desert. But anyway, I'm not gonna be generally out in the desert. So, you know, I'm gonna be like in an urban area or, you know, my own home or something. So, I like the slower moving rounds. It's a heavier round too, so it has more knockdown power for sure. But not as much knockdown as a 45, of course. That's what, a 230 grain bullet, I think? 230 grain?
Yeah, it's a reach out and touch somebody very aggressively kind of bullet.
You know, Solix goes out his back there.
It falls into the category of, if you're going to have to pull it, you better be damn sure that you don't have to go to the hospital afterwards. I mean, when you pull it and you have to use it, you don't want to have to use it twice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's right. You want to make sure the person's down. He's not going to do you any harm in the future. But let's see here. I had some stories here. I had some stories here also on the cover. Let me see what I got up in the queue real quick. Let me take a look. Okay. Well, I guess we can cover this story here. Let me get to it real quick here. All right. So let me get.
Yes. SOLX. I guess Salk says he goes out his back door sometimes to shoot his bow and arrow. I also have a bow. And yeah, it's nice to be able to diversify your skill set in defense, especially a bow being extremely quiet. Sometimes that's a good thing.
Right.
Throwing knives, that's another one I'm good at. I can also use throwing stars. So if you can get good at weapons, then you can defend yourself from just about anything.
Oh yeah. You just have to practice. God bless us. Everyone needs to rest my eyes. Oh, Skywatcher's taking off for the night. Let's say goodnight to her. So, real quick.
Good night.
Boom. All right, so let's take a look at this story here. And let's see. Pelosi walks out on press. I'm done talking about impeachment. So let me just shorten that up a little bit. All right. All right, so Pelosi walks out on press. I'm done talking about impeachment. So even though Nadler and friends are trying to keep their base happy by starting this impeachment, quote-unquote, inquiry, they asked her straight up, well, what do you think about impeachment? She says, well, no, it's going to be divisive for the country. It's going to hurt us in the end. We shouldn't be doing it. But Nadler still wants to keep going forward because the base, if he knows if he doesn't do something, the base is going to be pissed off. So let's see. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi shut down press questions about whether the House is conducting a formal impeachment inquiry, as some lawmakers claim. She says, I am not answering any more questions about a possible inquiry, investigation, and the rest. Pelosi tersely told reporters who asked her about the matter at her weekly press conference. Let's see. Pelosi's frustration led her to walk away from the podium, cutting her press conference short after calling for the media to focus on the Senate GOP's refusal to take up a Democratic proposal to expand background checks for gun purchases. Why is it that you are hung up with a word over here when lives are at stake over there? The California Democrat said, walking out of the room. Well, here's the question I would put back to her. Well, why is your Judiciary Committee, instead of taking up gun control and everything else, why are you so hung up on letting them go forward with impeachment inquiry? It's subpoenaing people and using up the time of the House investigation team. Well, if you're so concerned about these other things that are on your agenda, why are you letting Nadler keep going forward with this stupid impeachment inquiry? And then she gets mad when the press asked her about it. When Nadler just holds a press conference, holds a vote that morning, I think it was this morning or yesterday morning, holds a vote to proceed forward with the impeachment. And then she gets asked about it, and she's all pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, you're the damn speaker.
I don't think she has the control anymore.
I would agree with that to a certain extent. The AOCs of the House, I mean, half the members, half the Democratic caucus voted for impeachment. I mean, and even though the polling on impeachment is just awful, I mean, something like 60% of Americans are against it. I mean, after that whole Mueller thing just fell to pieces. But, like Nadler was like, oh, I'm going to bring him in to testify. Well, that was the worst thing in the world he could have done, because everybody just thought he was some genius, some really cool guy, some nonpartisan kind of guy. And then you bring him up to testify, you realize he wasn't running anything. I mean, he didn't even know who Glenn Simpson was. He didn't know who Fusion GPS was. I don't think he wasn't sure who Christopher Steele was. I mean, you could tell the man's some kind of early onsets of dementia or something. He didn't know.
He was a figurehead and a signature.
Thank you.
Nothing more.
That's it. And so then, when you have guys like Hannity talking about the guys working around him, the guys that were like Weissman and those guys. They said, they were always saying, don't worry about Weissman and those guys, Mueller's running it. Mueller's a steady hand. He's not going to let those guys get out of control. Well, now we know Mueller wasn't running shit. So those guys were out of control, and like what's going on right now with Flynn, they didn't disclose a bunch of exculpatory evidence, under Brady. They call it Brady evidence, where you have to, if like one of your witnesses, your key witnesses has credibility issues, you have to disclose that to the defense. And it turns out they received a letter from the British Embassy saying, "Hey, don't trust this guy Steele. We don't vouch for him, and he's untrustworthy." Well, they never disclosed that to Flynn's defense team, before he took the plea. Right. But they had that prior to him taking the plea. So now potentially his plea wasn't voluntary, which gives him a chance to potentially go back into court, and he has to do a change his plea from guilty to whatever he pled to pleading not guilty to all the original charges and taking it to trial. And that's what Flynn's. And the new attorney Flynn hired, she literally wrote the book. She wrote a book on prosecutorial misconduct. Okay, so that's the woman he hired. So and she's all over this. I mean, she's the one who did all the research, wrote the book. It's like a textbook almost. So just real shady operation. But it's just amazing that Pelosi's like, why do you keep asking me about what with my committee chairman is doing down the hall? Well, because he's your damn committee chairman. That's why. So
right. You're supposed to be the CEO.
Right. And let's see here. Oh, here's a funny story. Let me show this one real quick.
Oh, there it went.
Yeah, no, it had to reload. It sat on there too long, so it's back up.
No.
Castro stands on box to look taller in Democratic debate. So he actually had to stand on a box to look taller. Yeah, I mean, so they had a little box.
It's all about the optics.
Right, and it was the same color as the stage, so you really couldn't see. I mean, I didn't see it when I was watching it. When I went back and looked, I could kind of see something, but I still couldn't tell. But here's a nice picture here. Let's see, you'll see it. Okay, there.
I used to work in TV. I worked in the public television industry, and I was a floor manager. Some part of my job was to make sure that people were presented properly and that their clothing was straight and stuff like that. And I just wouldn't have been able to help myself. I'd have put a clear plexiglass step underneath him so it looked like he was just levitating off the stage.
Oh, God.
But that would have been the kind of mean stuff I would have done.
Yeah. Well, there he is standing on his little box. See his box? Do you see it?
Yeah, I see that.
Here's a blow up here of it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's
so,
all optics.
Right.
It's all illusion is what it is. Everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if you're a short guy, be a short guy. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to be a tall guy. You can be a short guy. I mean, nobody's going to say, oh, you're short. I mean, really. I mean, not really, So, yeah. So.
Except for Nadler. He's short, fat, and ugly.
He's short, fat, and ugly. Yeah. Now, the problem with him is he's not stupid. He's just evil. Yeah. He's not a stupid guy. He just uses his intelligence for evil and not for good. So let's see here. What else we got going on here? Here's a good story. We were just talking about firearms. So, Guardian program trains armed teachers to stop an active school shooter. Must be somewhere. I haven't read the story.
That's the only way that it's ever going to be stopped.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, look, there's plenty of retired law enforcement, retired military, who are school teachers. You can find the right people. Yeah. And if they haven't been, you can say, look, you could do this, but you got to pay for your own training. You have to go to our academy, but you have to pay for it, and you're in. And whereas if you have prior training, like either through a boot camp or prior law enforcement, you don't necessarily have to go through the whole training. Maybe you have to go through like the exam process. Or like the firing.
Well, I think that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that there needs to be an element of advanced training in there because it takes some specific training to turn off the fight or flight and to run towards danger. So sensitivity training, the high stress environment training, the stuff that is used for military and for police. I mean, they don't have to go through the whole program, but they need to be able to shut off that flight mentality and turn themselves around and be able to run towards the danger. That's not automatic. I mean, it is with some people, but the majority of people, that has to be taught.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, even the deputy down at the school shooting in Parkland, you know, he didn't shit. He just froze up. He's like, I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing happened in Columbine. There was a sheriff's deputy in Columbine. He had a Glock. He had with 9mm 17 round mag with 2 extra 17 round mags, and he heard the shooting and he split. He backed away and called it in.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Meanwhile, how many kids died because he couldn't go and let's be honest, those kids were carrying like the worst weapons you could carry. They were carrying those stupid they're like totally inaccurate too. You know, the Tech Nines. No.
Yeah.
No, they were carrying the shitty Tech Nines. You know, with the air cooling kind of ventilation on the top, make it look kind of like cool. But they're really inaccurate because the magazine's in front of the trigger pull. The magazine's in front of the action.
Right.
So so it bounces up and down a lot, and it's not a very accurate weapon. And this guy, he has a Glock 9mm, you know, full size Glock. I mean, he could have gone on there and he could have aimed, and he probably would have taken those kids out no problem, you know. So
right.
But he ran for the hills, like in this cop in Parkland. He just stood there, he ran, he took off, called it in, and all those kids in there that he was put there for that reason. The cop was there, an armed cop was on school grounds in case something stupid happened. Somebody came in with a gun or something like that. He wasn't there to give somebody detention. He was there, he was armed, he had a bulletproof vest on, he was there in case somebody came in with a gun and started wanting to shoot somebody. That's exactly why he was there. Only reason.
Right.
You know? And then when it happens, he takes off. Same thing in Colorado. When it happens, he takes off. So, you know, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, if that one teacher who in Parkland confronted that kid, he was unarmed. He took a couple of bullets. He died. He saved some kids' lives. But, you know, if he had a gun on him, instead of dying for those kids, he could have shot that asshole and, you know, saved not just his life, but a whole bunch of other lives as well.
Right.
He was ex something also. I think he was ex-military. The one guy that I was thinking, I can't remember his name. Anyway, let's take a look at this story real quick here. All right, so Panama City, Florida. Then here's the quote: "Get down on your knees."
Right down the road from me.
Oh, good deal. Okay. So Panama City, Florida, Washington Times. It's not something a teacher ordinarily would shout during a summer training program, but this is no ordinary program. Her shouting, "Get down on your knees." The teacher was participating in active shooter response training under Florida's revamped Coach Aaron Feist Guardian program at Southport Elementary School near Panama City. Maybe that's the guy. It's named after that coach that I was just talking about. That's that guy that caught a couple of rounds for his students. She and other teachers were taught to tread cautiously down a hallway and peer into classrooms which were empty save for role players, one of whom was posing as an active shooter. Their job: make threat assessments of each classroom while looking for the shooter. She found him within seconds. Per her training, she stayed in the hall, pointing her Glock handgun at the assailant and ordered him to his knees. He complied, and the whistle blew, ending the 30-second exercise. The teacher later would face more challenging scenarios with loud .38 caliber blanks firing. She would fire back blanks of her own. Her first run was met with applause from seasoned trainers from the Bay County Sheriff's Office. Well, God, that's cool. It's been an amazing experience, said the teacher, who spoke on the condition of anonymity. We've definitely learned a lot. The original Guardian program, created in March 2018 under the state's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act, allowed administrators and other staff, including coaches and teachers with military or law enforcement experience, there you go, plenty of them in the school. A lot of ex-military, ex-cops become teachers, you know that, with military or law enforcement experience to volunteer as armed, concealed carry guardians. Legislation signed in May by Governor Ron DeSantis. Yay, Governor DeSantis. Republican expanded the program to include...
that's a good one.
Yeah, you know, I was really happy he won that because the other guy was just going to take you right. He was going to run all the business right out of your state. I mean, if it came to my state, I wouldn't have been so upset, I guess. But it wasn't going to come all the way over here. I mean, he was going to tax the hell out of businesses, going to drive out foreign investment, you know, all kinds of stupid shit. You know, he was going to raise taxes. I mean, he would have turned your state into a disaster zone. He would have turned your state into what it looked like in 2009, 2010. You know. So anyway, more school districts have lined up. Florida Department of Education Safe Schools Office, which also which also was created under the Public Safety Act, reported in August that 44 of the 67 school districts had authorized the program, a 42% increase from 31 districts in April. Across the state, 1,062 guardians and 3,156 law enforcement officers have been assigned to 3,717 schools. Of the $67 million appropriated for the program, $15.8 million has been approved for 36 sheriff's offices, which are required to provide 4 weeks of training. Well, that's a good training program, 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good training program. That's not bad at all. Program acceptance is left to each school board. Each teacher who participates receives a one-time $500 stipend. Oh, that's good. And they go, well, yeah. obviously they're not doing it for the money. $500 that, buy some ammo, or you're going to have to lose some time from work, whatever. They're not doing it for the money, said Bay County Sheriff Tommy Ford. They're not doing it for the fame and glory because they can't tell anyone that they're a guardian. It's all concealed carry, I guess. They're doing it because their heart is in protecting kids, and that has been what's most striking to me, is the type of person that's volunteering to do this. We're getting top-notch people. Well, yeah, of course, whose motivation is to be part of protecting their schools. No strangers to active shooters, Bay District School Superintendent Bill Hoosfeld views the program as a necessary precaution. During a school board meeting in December of 2010, an assailant was killed by an armed school district security guard moments after he began shooting at Mr. Hoosfeld. Oh, shit. The school board members. No one else was injured. And he was on to say, I don't think anyone really likes the idea of arming teachers, but circumstances have really forced our hand. If someone tried to come into one of our campuses to arm students or employees, I would want to know that we did every single thing we could to protect our children and staff. And so arming highly trained, thoroughly vetted employees seems like a prudent measure to employ. So, shit. Yeah, I mean, damn. That's why you got to elect Republicans. Gilliam, you think Gilliam would have gone for this? Shit, no way.
No.
No.
Well, here's the other thing. Just having the armed teachers can work as a deterrent, because people that intend to do harm don't like the uncertainty. They want to go into a gun-free zone so they have maximum control, and they want to do their harm without any threat of harm coming to themselves.
Right.
So just the idea that they're armed can be a deterrent to prevent some of these shootings.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially if everybody's concealed carry, and you don't know who's got a gun and who doesn't, and you're walking, and instead of just walking down a hall and be able to just kill at will, somebody's going to pop around a corner and shoot you. Let's be honest. If some kid's got like even a revolver, and you come around that corner, you just shoot them straight up. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to bitch and moan at you. It's not going to be like, oh, what happened? It's like, hey, it's like, hey, thanks for saving our lives. That's what it's going to come down to. So let's take a look at the next story here. Beto banning guns.
I think on that note, I think that that will have to be the last story for me, because I do need to try to migrate towards the rack here.
Gotcha.
Do that thing called sleep.
No problem.
But I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always fun.
Totally. Hey, totally. Thanks for coming on. Totally appreciate it. All right, Mr. Disabled Vet, thanks for coming on the Carl's Opinion. And if you get a free hat for appearing. So did I send you a hat already?
Yeah, I've already got one of those.
Oh, okay.
I like it too. It's well made.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Well, I can't send you another hat unless you want another hat. You want another hat?
No, that's fine.
You good? Okay.
No, I'm good, man.
All right. Good deal.
I enjoy the camaraderie and the hangout, so that's enough of a reward for me.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. Disabled Vet, have a great night. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
All right,
Talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, and that was Mr. Disabled Vet, and that was some music to see him out with. And let's see here. Let me get back on here. Boom. Anyway, there's me. Yay! All right. So anyway, live call-in show. Everybody wants to call in. We're taking phone calls. Area code 775-273-8970. Again, that's 775-873-89. Solex, I'm wearing mine every time Carl's show is on. All right, there you go. There you go. Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's see what's going on with this here. That's weird. Oh, I know why. Okay. All right. Let me fix this here. Position. Main full screen. Multi-view. Yay. All right. Okay, so let's get to the next story here. And we got here. Pelosi walks out. Beto banning guns. Already talked about that. Jorge Ramos. Active shooter. Castro stands on box. Castro's wrong. Oh, here's a good one. We talked about Kavanaugh earlier, and here we go. Blasey Ford's father supported Kavanaugh, confirmation report says. So that's interesting. So obviously he knew she was full of shit, her own father. He's from back east as well. He actually knew Kavanaugh's dad, and which means he knew Kavanaugh, which means he wasn't buying that whole bullshit, but she was trying to sell to everybody that she was raped, in her little, like he was talking, Disabled Vet was talking earlier, saying, that little girl talk, and, we all saw the video on that, on the body language and the little girl thing, and, I'm just a little girl, She actually was training CIA agents in psychological warfare. She wasn't like little girl, she was all full of shit. And not to mention, it came out that, her lawyer blurted out in an interview saying, the story initially was like she really didn't want to come forward, and she was kind of, cajoled into coming forward because, she thought it was the right thing, but she really wanted her privacy. And then a lawyer blurted out, yeah, she contacted us, and she wanted to, she wanted everybody to know what kind of, person this guy was. She's an anti-abortion person, and she wanted to screw up his chance of getting the appointment to the bench. So I was like, oh, well, then this story pops up that Blasey Ford supported Kavanaugh's confirmation, knowing he didn't believe his own daughter either. She was full of shit. So the father of the women who accused Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct during his confirmation process reportedly supported the president's high court pick, according to a report Thursday by the Federalist. Christine Blasey Ford's father, Ralph Blasey, allegedly approached Justice Kavanaugh's father at the Burning Tree Club in Bethesda, Maryland, where both are members, according to Kerry Severino and Molly Hemingway, who authored the book Justice on Trial, The Kavanaugh Confirmation and the Future of the Supreme Court. I'm glad Brett was confirmed. Mr. Blasey reportedly told Ed Kavanaugh, noting the public controversy was tough on both families. Ms. Blasey Ford accused Justice Kavanaugh of misconduct when the two men were in high school. Her allegation was never substantiated or corroborated, and Justice Kavanaugh has vehemently denied any wrongdoing. That's kind of interesting there. All right, let's take a look at the next story here. All right. Now, just so I pulled up this is the ruling from yesterday's Supreme Court allowing the president to continue on with, let's see how this punches up here. I'm going to get myself out of the way so we can all read it. All right, so let's get us out of the way. Boom, and boom. Let's see. Is that big enough? It looks big enough. Yeah, it looks big enough. Yeah, I can bump it. Let me punch it up a little bit more. Let's see. There we go. All right, Supreme Court of the United States. This was a decision yesterday from the Supreme Court that allowed President Trump to deny people from Central America who are seeking asylum in the United States, to deny them their asylum claim if they haven't sought asylum in another country that they hit before they hit the United States. So if you're in Honduras, the first country you would hit would be Guatemala. You're supposed to apply there. Then after that comes Mexico. You're supposed to apply there. And so you're supposed to apply to these countries, potentially get denied before you make it to the U.S. to apply there. So I'm sure we got some deal worked out with Mexico where they're going to maybe allow people to stay or whatever, so they don't have to necessarily come up to the United States. So anyway, here's the decision. It's real short. It was William P. Barr, Attorney General versus the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant, which were they're the plaintiffs in the matter. So, okay, this is the decision from the Supreme Court. You had Justice Sotomayor and Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg dissenting. As I said yesterday, this was a 7-2 decision in favor, though. 7-2, and there's some really cool language in here when we read it. So, here it is, September 11th, 2019. The application for stay presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court is granted. The District Court's July 24th, 2019 order granting a preliminary injunction and September 9th, 2019 order restoring the nationwide scope of the injunction are stayed. It means that's it. They're like suspended. Okay? They're not killed, just suspended. Are stayed in full pending disposition disposition of the government's appeal in the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, and disposition of the government's petition for a writ of certiorari, if such writ is sought. If a writ of certiorari is sought and the court denies the petition, this order shall terminate. If the court grants the petition for writ, this order shall terminate when the court enters its judgment, meaning that they're going to stay the order of the U.S. District Court, and even if the Ninth Circuit, strikes down, agrees with the U.S. District Court further on in the appeal, like the U.S. District Court's going to hold a trial. Okay, right now this is a preliminary injunction. You go in, you have a hearing, but it's not a full-blown trial. Permanent injunction is a full-blown trial. It means both sides are entitled to discovery. You can take depositions, you get documents, you get to ask written questions, and then you get your trial prep, and then you go to trial. That's anywhere from 6 months to a year. I'm sure this U.S. District Court judge will probably fast-track it, but nonetheless, about 6 months probably. So then you go to a trial. It's a bench trial since you're asking for equitable relief, injunctive relief. It doesn't go to a jury. It goes to the judge, the same judge who even sometimes knows the liberal Ninth Circuit. Judge Tiger is a Barack Obama appointee. Will probably grant the permanent injunction. The Attorney General's office will appeal it to the Ninth Circuit. The granting of the permanent injunction. Ninth Circuit may or may not, based on what just happened, assume the Ninth Circuit says, okay, we affirm your decision. Doesn't mean that the stay is then lifted. No, the stay stays in effect according to this order until it gets to the Supreme Court and until after the Supreme Court enters its judgment. So you're talking 2021 by the time this thing gets through. So, let's see. Pretend you're not spreading hate like they are. People are unreal. What? I don't know. But anyway, so I was just reading the chat. Like, I don't know what's going on in that chat room. But anyway, so all I can say is keep it clean. Let's see. I don't see any. Let's see. All right. Anyway. D.A. Archer, just for some of the history on the word demon rats. Demon rats actually came about, I believe, in the 1850s when the Republican Party was being formed, or 1860s and the reason why they were called demon rats, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, somebody can Google it. The reason why they were called demon rats was because of their pro-slavery position back then. So it's not something that's like new, it's just something that's old, and a lot of people use it. I don't have a problem with it. Demon rats, demo rats. I don't have a problem with it, knowing the historical context of it. Considering some of the positions they take, it's probably fitting, so... a lot of people who are Democrats, I don't really think they really think through all the positions the Democratic Party takes. I mean, if you're in favor of killing right now, what they're actually in favor of, you had New York pass a law and Virginia pass a law, and the Governor Steve Bullock in Montana just vetoed a bill that went to his desk whereby the bill, which is a common sense bill, saying that if a woman gets an abortion and the abortion fails and the baby comes out alive, that you have to seek medical treatment. You know the history, lots don't. Oh, okay, all right. No, I was just looking at the chat like, what's going on? You know. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, if hey, Mr. Maurice, let's see, what's your take on Trump's proposed vape ban? You know, I haven't known yet. I haven't thought about that much. I smoke real cigarettes. I think, you know, men who smoke, who vape probably don't get laid a lot. Just saying, you know, but, you know, that's a joke. People say that, like, guys who vape when they go to a club. I'm too old to go to clubs, so I don't know, but they say guys who vape when they go to a club and they're out there vaping, you know, it's kind of like, oh, you're kind of a loser. But I don't know. I'm not sure about what the vape. I really have not been following that story. I've been hearing bits of it, like as I walk by a TV set, hearing that vape will kill you or something. You know, I don't know. So I really haven't been paying attention to that at all. But no, real men smoke real cigarettes. It's like, what's that line? We serve real cigarettes for real men who want to smoke cigarettes fast. Something. I don't know. Oh, see, even Crazy Chick Sheena. Yeah, see, Crazy Chick Sheena will be like, she's in a club and some guy's out there vaping. Hey, Crazy Chick Sheena. She'll be like, get away from me with that vape. You know, and then this guy walks up with a real cigarette. She goes, what's your name? See? That's how it works. There you go. But anyway, let me finish reading this little Supreme Court gem. But anyway, so the nice thing is, this thing, Trump can keep doing this whole, if you're from a country, any country, pick a country, I don't care, it doesn't matter. You're from Brazil, and you're making your way up to the United States. Well, the next country you come to, you have to stop there and seek asylum. So if you're in Honduras, you got to stop in Guatemala. If you're in El Salvador, you got to stop in Guatemala, because I don't think El Salvador borders Mexico either. If you're in Guatemala, you got to stop in Mexico. Or worst case scenario, if you're from South America, Central America, or from Africa or Southeast Asia, you generally don't get a visa to fly here and then seek asylum. You know, you're landing in South America and then working your way up the continent up through Central America. Well, if you get here and you're from, like, say, Ghana or Thailand, and you got through another country to get here, well, sorry, we don't have to. Because see, then it's not a real asylum claim. See, asylum is, okay, again, I used the example last night with the great dirtbag. Basically, asylum means like you're under political persecution. Like, say, I don't know, Mayor Pete gets elected president, and he starts persecuting all of us, and he's coming after us. We're like, oh no, we gotta go, right? So we head south, El Suerte, right? We go south. And we get to Mexico. We were like, we really don't want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Brazil. So you travel through Mexico, go through Central America, you get all the way to Brazil. You say, hey, man, I was being persecuted in the United States by this Mayor Pete guy. And they go, oh, that's awful. And they said, well, how'd you get here? I said, well, I walked through Mexico, went through, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, whatever, and then I ended up here. I said, well, no, you can't do that. If you need asylum, you got to stop there first. Well, yeah, but this place is nicer. Well, no, that's not asylum. You just want to go to a nice place. So same thing. So basically all the Trump administration did was say, look, if you want to seek asylum, you got to stop at the first place you get to. And Mexico's a nice place. I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's not the United States, but they actually have some jobs and stuff going on there. If that stupid president doesn't keep trying to kill them with his socialist policies, they got a nice economy. If he could just, if he just starts thinking more free market stuff, you can get that country really up and going pretty nice. And they're hiring people. They have big job fairs and all kinds of stuff. They got jobs, so, stay there. But anyway, just my opinion. All right. So let's see here. Next story. Here's a story made national news, which is close to my home. Probably about an hour away from this place. Dutchman arrested at Area 51. Yeah, please don't come out here. If you want to see aliens, do not come out here. We don't want to see you. We don't want to see 50,000 people show up in my little town. So stay away. So anyway, but yeah, or the little towns up north of us. So here we go. Las Vegas. Well, this is really not a story from Las Vegas. It's from Nye County or Lincoln County. So Las Vegas, 2 men from the Netherlands who said they wanted to post internet video of the once secret Area 51 military base in Nevada were arrested on suspicion of trespassing onto a secure U.S. government reservation, sheriff's officials said Thursday. Govert Charles Willemas, Jacob Savage, and Tiers Granzier told Nye County sheriffs, Nye County, that's where I live, see? Nye County sheriffs. I live in Nye County. That's me. So Nye County sheriff's deputies, they were in the remote area to attend events next week. Oh, great. Near the... No! They're probably less than an hour from where I live, probably like 20 minutes. Deputies, they were in the remote area to attend events next week near the once top-secret U.S. Air Force test site, known in popular lore as a site for government studies of space aliens. There are no aliens around here, period. Okay, then... here we go. That's why they said they were here. Nye County Sheriff's Captain David Borokowitz said, I know Captain Borokowitz. I knew when he was a street officer. Then he worked his way up, lieutenant. Good cop. Excellent cop, actually. Now he's a captain. So, hey, congrats. Good job. Last time I talked to him, he was only a lieutenant. So he's making moves pretty quick. Good job, Captain David Borokowitz. And that's how you pronounce his name. I don't care who says anything else. You pronounce the name David Borokowitz. But anyway, so Area 51 is the focus of events next weekend in the tiny towns of Rachel and Hyco. That's Lincoln County. Do not come to Nye County. Rachel and Hyco are in Lincoln County. They are not here. Do not come here. We don't know you. Okay? Those towns are in Lincoln County. Lincoln County. Like Abe Lincoln. Okay? That's how you remember it. So if you want to come out here, do not come to Nye County. No, Lincoln County. That's where the aliens are. They're in Lincoln County. Inspired by a Facebook post inviting people to see them aliens. Savage 21 and Granzier 20 were arrested Tuesday on the misdemeanor charges after they were found in a car near a gate inside the Nevada National Security Site. You're lucky they weren't shot. Okay? That's not a good place to be hanging around. They were at least 20 miles from Area 51. Idiots. Anyway. So, always like ending the live stream on a funny story. That was a funny one. Arrested in my town. Go away. Don't come back. So, anyway, I'm going to go to end the live stream for tonight. And I just want to thank everybody who's been on the live stream. I want to definitely thank Disabled Vets Perspective for his great video live call-in. That was excellent. Great conversation. Got to cover some of the debate tonight. Not a lot of bells and whistles on the debate tonight. Really not much for these people to talk about except how much money they're going to spend of ours and how they're going to take our guns away. So they can spend a lot of our money and take our guns away, and that's pretty much what we can take away from the Democratic debate for 3 hours. They can take our money and take our guns. And that's pretty much about all they got. They really ain't got much else. So, but anyway. Get back here. But anyway, for Carl's opinion, this is Carl. I just want to say thanks again. Let me get myself up here. That might be a good idea. Hold on. Let's see. Boom. Hey, there I am. So, excellent show this evening. Thank you, Mr. Solex. Appreciate it. Night, Ms. Nonia, Ms. Pro-Life Americans, and D.A. Archer, and everybody else who's been in the chat. Everybody who's been watching. Everybody will be watching us later. So, for Carl's opinion, this is Carl. Have a great night. Smidgely Schmodler. It doesn't matter. Who the hell is Smidgely Schmodler? You know, what's that saying from the Bruce Willis movie? I can't remember, but there was a saying. It went something like, I don't like uninvited guests. So something like that. I don't know who this guy was, but I think he was bad news. Yeah, I don't know, maybe not. But anyway, if anybody knows him, and knows him to be a nice guy, tell him sorry. So anyway, you can't be too careful, you know. But anyway, all right, everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next time on Carl's Opinion. Because if it's not Carl's opinion, that means it's probably somebody else's opinion. All right, have a good one. You're quick with the